Hey everyone, Steve here with the METUS Tech Show. Before we begin today's episode, I wanted to let you know of a special live stream event happening this Thursday, August 1st at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Juan and Bryn will be guests on the Did You Know? The ESCO HVAC Show. Now, this is the ESCO Institute's live webcast, and you can find it on Facebook, HVACR Learning Network, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. The guys will be discussing the inverter circuit and coming at you live from the Chicago Training Center. Without further ado, the latest episode of the METUS Tech Show.
The METUS Tech Show.
Welcome to the METUS Tech Show, a show for HVAC professionals by HVAC professionals.
The METUS Tech Show. All right, Scott, so I went out last night here in Georgia for dinner, and I made the terrible mistake of ordering the soup du jour, soup of the day.
Which was
chicken soup. I said,
just chicken soup? What, broth and chicken?
Chicken and rice soup. Actually, vermicelli rice. So I said, yeah, I'll take a cup. So they brought out a bowl, and I was quite disappointed. It looked like, the best way I could describe it, and I'm not going to name the restaurant, but pretty disappointed because this restaurant usually has good food. It looked like someone threw a can of cat food, soft cat food, into some broth.
That didn't even, if it doesn't look appetizing.
It was horrifying. I couldn't believe someone would serve this to somebody and say it's okay. And I looked at it and I took a couple of bites and I pushed it away. And the guy said, "You're all set with this?" I was like, yeah. And I said, "By the way, that's terrible. Don't give that to anybody else."
What was his comment?
What's that?
What did
he just kind of said, "Oh, okay," and that was it.
That was it.
Yeah, it was terrible. I'm not that kind of person that goes on giving bad reviews.
Absolutely not. But
I don't have time for that. But anyway, I like soup. Once in a while, just a good cup of soup. Probably my go-to number one, top of the list soup would be, or if it's considered a soup, lobster bisque.
You know, it's funny. That's the one soup I have not tried yet.
Yeah, lobster bisque is the jam. It's awesome. It's just amazing. You know, and I'm from New England, so New England clam chowder.
See, I don't mind clam chowder. Not my favorite, but I'll eat it.
Yeah.
I don't, yeah.
You got to try lobster bisque.
Okay.
You see it on the menu, order it. You can't go wrong.
Yeah, I would have to say my go-to would have to be French onion soup.
Oh, French onion soup is...
It's
a
lot of detail to it, right? With the broth and the type and onion, the size of the onion, because I've got them with a really tiny...
You ever made your own?
No, that's the one thing I have not done yet.
I've done it. It's a lot of work. You have to sweat the onions in a frying pan for hours. If you do it right and caramelize those onions and get, and
it's all about the bread and the type of cheese. Like there's
you
a lot
get the
of
crouton on top. That big,
yeah. I got to give actually a shout out to our to Roland, right? Because he made his own French onion soup that he posted, and it looked amazing. I just want to drive to Florida just to go in his house and say, "Okay, Roland, make me some French onion soup," because it looked that good.
It's real quick. Speaking of Roland, if everybody's asking, where's Roland? Roland retired. So he's living down in Florida, and he's retiring and getting ready to retire. And hopefully we'll get him back on the show for a guest spot or something.
Yeah, special guest. Yeah, we have to.
Yeah. But, I miss Roland. Yeah. Great guy. But anyway, lobster bisque. Nothing like a good chicken soup when it's made right. Minestrone.
I'm okay with that. It's not my favorite. I know that's a lot of people they love it. It's like you like it or you don't type soup. Yeah. I love like a potato soup.
Ooh.
Those are good.
Yeah, like potato or cheese and broccoli. Cheese and broccoli soup. Not out of the can. Something that's a chef made, right? What's the other one that was on the top of you? Ever tried a zuppa Toscana?
you're going to have to tell me what's in that soup.
So zuppa toscana. It's Italian. It's basically sausage, little bits of sausage.
Sounds good.
In a kind of it looks like a white, creamy broth.
Okay, I can do this.
With all the Italian herbs in there and some potatoes.
I can do this.
It's fantastic.
All right, that's
definitely, yeah.
There's no like added beans because that's where I'm at.
No beans.
All the listeners know.
No beans. Another great soup. Right?
My wife, she makes excellent buffalo chicken soup, and it's good flavor.
Oh man, that sounds fantastic.
It is.
I never thought of buffalo chicken in a soup.
Yes, just absolutely amazing. Yeah.
How's the heat level?
Oh, good. Yeah, she samples different hot sauces. If we're in a bind real quick, she uses the buffalo hot sauce, that you do on wings and whatnot. And we do all kind of different flavors.
What about, so it's just chicken and broth?
Broth, and then I know she does, she adds cream cheese to it.
Ooh.
Right?
Yeah.
What
about blue cheese?
No, we haven't messed with blue cheese with that.
Blue cheese and buffalo go
the funkier the better.
So if blue cheese is your thing, right? But there are so many great soups out there. And then when we had the whole chili debate some episodes back.
I remember that.
We talked about all the chili, and I don't even consider chili a soup at that point. It's more of a meal.
Oh, with your miso soup, right? Miso, is that right? Miso.
Yeah.
That's just a plain simple soup that I love getting.
What'd you get today at lunch? You got
yum
tom yum soup.
Which is a spicy type. Yeah, it was really good.
Was it spicy?
Yeah.
All right.
But
it's just really just a clear broth.
Just a clear broth.
A couple of veggies or something in there. Well, it was actually tofu in there.
Yes, but I'm not eating tofu, so
that kind of freaks me out a little bit. But,
I don't know.
But it's all good. It's all good. You can just choke them down and not think about it. It's all good. But welcome to the METUS Tech Show, everybody.
Welcome.
So, myself, Steve Pimentel, and Scott Tallman. It's just us.
Yeah, I know.
It seems strange. We don't have Paul on here.
Paul, Juan.
Or Bryn. They're all doing something right now.
Yeah.
Bryn's teaching.
Juan's teaching, right?
Yeah. No, Juan's on vacation.
Oh.
Juan's on vacation. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Nice. Good for him.
Yeah. He took the week off, so I hope he's having a blast.
Yeah.
So today's episode, we thought we would do an episode on Mitsubishi service tools. So I feel like a lot of the service techs out there don't know we have these tools unless they come to one of our classes or they happen to see it on my link drive. Some of these tools are not on my link drive.
No, they're not. So,
right?
Yeah.
But we're going to offer up some part numbers today and give you a little insight into these tools and what they do and how they can help you out in the field, right? And I want to stress that with all of these tools, are the number one two tools I think that you could use on diagnosing any heat pump is going to be mylinkdrive.com
all day long
and your multimeter, right? But we're gonna talk about the PAC tool, which is a diagnostic tool for P-series units. We're going to talk about the inverter checker, and that's one of them that I say, great tool. Still doesn't take the place of your multimeter. You can do the same thing with your multimeter, right? We're going to talk about the LEV magnet, and there's two different types for opening and closing LEVs. And we're also going to talk about maintenance tool.
Which majority of our listeners know what they are, but there's maybe some added features that they don't know, especially the cable set.
Yeah, and you may not know we have a maintenance tool that came out a few years back for M&P.
Correct.
So we'll talk about that as well. So let's start right from the top. Let's talk about the PAC tool, and that model number is a PAC-SK52ST. So PAC SK52ST. And the PAC tool is compatible with all P-series outdoor units.
Yes, you plug this into the outdoor unit, correct?
Yeah.
Yep. Control board.
And it fits into so you can get a visual on what this thing looks like. It's a little plastic case. When you can open up the case. It fits in the palm of your hand. When you open up the case, you got a set of dip switches and you have an LED screen, and on the inside cover you have little charts in there that show you what you can do with the dip switches and what to expect to see when you connect it to a P-Series unit.
Correct. And what they show inside, those are just the most popular measurements that you can get from it. There's also many more measurements that you can get through that in the outdoor service manual.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, I didn't know that. I just learned something.
Yeah. So it's funny because quick story on that. When I first taught this class for M&P, because we have a slide on it or what's in the box.
Yeah.
And then, reading the manual, RTFM, read the fantastic manual that I found that if you scroll on the bottom pages of the outdoor service manual, you'll see more dip switch settings for the pack tool for other measurements that you may
so
need.
the ones that are inside that inside cover
Correct.
are not the only points of data that you can look up. There is a ton more.
There's a ton more. Exactly.
Unbelievable. So yeah, you learn something every day.
Yeah.
So this tool has a harness that is attached to it with about probably 4 or 5 inches of harness wire, and you have to locate the CNM connector on the outdoor unit.
Yes.
And I can't stress this off. Yeah, can't stress this enough. With any connectors, plugging and unplugging connectors, turn the power off. Let the system cool off. What I mean by cool off, make sure all the lights go out on the boards, and it's discharged all of its voltage. Then you can disconnect or connect this tool. So make sure the power's off. You're going to connect this tool to the outdoor unit, and then turn your disconnect on, bring the power back on, and you're going to see either one of two things. You're going to see the current operation state of the unit, and you're going to see, you're going to see an error code if it's in an error state. So you'll get a 2-digit error code. So if you're familiar with P-Series units, you'll get a P5, a P1, P2, those types of error codes on that, or U1, U2, U3 error code.
This is actually my favorite thing to use for getting fault codes because they show up much faster than they do on Par 40 or simple MA controller.
Yep. And sometimes error codes take a little while to generate.
Yeah, it's roughly actually on a Par 40 MA controller, it takes up to 9 minutes to get that error code. So this one actually pretty much shows it right away. Now, I
was teaching a class in Boston, and I walked over to the students when they were doing the hands-on portion, and I look over, and I see the pack tool hanging out of the Smart Multi branch box. And I said, someone connected the pack tool to the Smart Multi branch box. Yes, there is a CNM connector in the Smart Multi branch box. And the information that it gives you is the same information you would get on a P-Series. But one thing that I noticed that it shows you is how many ports you're utilizing on that branch controller based off of SW1 dip switch on the branch controller, how many ports that you activated. And it'll also show you error codes. But with the Smart Multi system, we have the LED screen on the outdoor unit. There's really no need for the pack tool on the branch box. But it does fit on there. And again, with anything, shut the power off before you plug in the pack tool and check it.
And some of the things that the pack tool does show you, just for the listeners, you can get the liquid pipe temperature thermistor 3, discharge temperature TH4, and so a compressor operation current. We have different, just the basic ones that comes with inside the box. It tells you what dip switches to hit in order to see that measurement.
Yeah. And we're going to do another episode soon on request codes on using the Par 40 controller or the Touch MA controller. You can request all of this same information from the outdoor unit through the controller. So it's almost the same thing. But with the pack tool, what you're doing is there's a set of dip switches, and depending on the configuration of those dip switches, will give you that piece of data.
And I recommend the pack tool for, one or a few reasons, but the main one is, like what you mentioned, Steve, say with the Par 40, we can do request codes. Well, if the homeowner does not have a Par 40, well, you're going to have to go to depending on where that indoor unit is installed, run the 2 wires to TB15, wire it up, and connect to par 40, and then do the request codes that way.
Yep.
With the pack tool, you just go right to the outdoor unit and just plug it in, and you get the ground running. So it's easier to get the information using the pack tool. But if customer already has a par 40, then you can use the request codes right inside.
Yeah, but that takes a little bit of navigating through the menus.
It does.
To pull that information, and it's not difficult to do.
No,
but
not at all.
Like you said, the pack tool much quicker on giving you those numbers, right?
Yes. Yep.
So that about does it for the pack tool. Again, the pack tool part number for that is the PAC SK52ST. That is on my link drive as well. So you can also download a little installation sheet that's on there to give you some information on the pack tool.
Yes.
And there's more information, you said.
Go to the outdoor unit service manual that you're working on, and it's in the bottom pages of it. Okay. And truth be told, the easiest way to get to it is Control F on your computer.
Do a search.
Do a search on the model number, the PAC dash the rest of the model number. Yep.
SK52ST. Yep. Yeah.
And it'll go right to it.
Excellent.
Oh, right. And remember, P series, outdoor P series units. What's our next item?
So you won't see a CNM connector on an M series.
No, you will not. So that's the reason why I wanted to.
Or a City Multi for that matter.
No.
But we have bigger and better things for those units, right?
Yes, we do.
So let's go to our next tool. Our next tool, Mitsubishi tool, is going to be the inverter checker. And the part number for that is a T2WEA0988. T2WEA0988. All right, and that tool, it's basically a box that's about 3 inches by 4 inches. It has some wires coming off of it, a connector with some alligator clips on it.
Yeah.
And there are 6 LED lights inside of this box. And the idea with this inverter checker is to connect it to U, V, and W on the inverter board with the alligator clips, or even better, if you have a compressor with one of these Molex plugs on it, it's a
Correct.
white Molex plug, you can disconnect the compressor and connect the inverter checker in its place.
Yeah, the good example outdoor is the MUZ FS unit. That has that connector to it.
Yeah, and I believe the GL and the GS as well.
Yep.
Right? So we can safely, a much safer way of doing it, checking balance voltage, because we all know balance voltage, that inverter voltage is an AC voltage. It's a simulated AC voltage, but it has all the characteristics of DC voltage. Yeah. It likes to arc, right? So again, with any of our tools or disconnecting any plugs or connecting anything, make sure the power's off before you connect this tool. And if you're going directly to the board with alligator clips, same thing. Make sure the power is disconnected. Don't get those connectors too close to each other. It will arc. But we're checking for a balanced voltage across our inverter. That's how we check to see if our inverter is working correctly. And we want, when we're checking with a multimeter, we're looking for balanced voltage across all 3 terminals. And there really is no set voltage because all meters interpret that voltage differently. Yeah. Right? So I could take a fluke meter and get one reading. I could take a field piece meter and get another reading. And I could take a UEI meter and get a completely different reading. But the common relationship between U, V, and W is that all 3 voltage measurements are all within balanced. 10% of each other.
Yeah, and that 10% does fluctuate depending on what model you're on. Some units are 20%, just depending on
you
what
got a little more room.
Yes. Yeah.
Room in there, right?
Yeah, and just know with the inverter checker, guys, too, depending on what model you're on, this is where you're going to have to reference the service manual. You may have to hit a dip switch to make the inverter testing to go engage, because what that does is you're ignoring errors in the system.
Right.
So you just have to verify that. We will have we'll do a different podcast, do a deeper segment into inverter testing.
Yeah. We'll get one of the area service managers in on that, because they see that every day and they perform those tests.
Correct.
With the contractors out in the field. So definitely, yeah. So what are we looking at on the inverter checker? I said there's some LED lights on the inverter checker. There are actually 6 LED lights.
So what do those represent?
basically the triac switches, right?
Switches, yeah.
And that's what's pretty cool, is because they're inside of the IPM, our intelligent power module. It's basically a chip. And for you service techs out there, if you've ever had to put heat paste on a board, but when you're replacing a power board, you're placing heat paste on the IPM module, right? Because that puts out a lot of heat. And those triac switches, as Paul Shaves would say, they open and close a bazillion times per second.
Yeah,
They open and close pretty quickly, but I don't think it's a bazillion times per second. I don't even think bazillion is a word. But
to Paul, it is.
They open and close quite rapidly, right? And depending on the frequency of the compressor, they speed up. And you can see that on the LED lights on the inverter checker when you start the unit up. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, because what it does, it blinks really fast, and it blinks so fast it actually becomes a solid light.
Yes.
And and I always tell my class this too, is like, if you really want to see the LED light opening, turning off and on, is get your camera out and record it, and you can almost see the wave of those lights going on and off on your phone. It's pretty cool to see, because the camera can catch that.
Yeah,
it's pretty interesting.
So what if I have unbalanced voltage? What do I expect to see on the LEDs?
You'll have some with missing lights. Yeah. It could be one or multiple, but you'll have a good test would be all lights. 6 lights will be solid 6 lights. But then if you have one that's unbalanced, you may have one missing, blinking, whatever the case that would be.
Yeah.
And then how can we verify this? Using your meter.
Right. Yeah. So whether you use your meter first, and then you want to verify it with the inverter checker, or you're checking it with the inverter checker, and now you're missing some lights. Well, maybe I want to grab my meter just to double check
it. Yeah.
And if I got an unbalanced voltage across UV and W, that's it. Replace it. Right. Yeah. Replace the inverter board.
Replace the inverter board.
Like we've had on previous podcasts. Do we stop there? No. Or should we check the compressor?
That was my next thing. If you're going to look at the compressor, you may found that the compressor is bad. My next step is, okay, let me see if it took out the inverter board. But how you do this by doing this inverter test.
Yeah. Chain reaction of things that could happen. And so always check all of your components. Make sure that the inverter board didn't take out your compressor, or your compressor didn't take out your inverter board. And even worse, chain reaction where you have a compressor take out your inverter board, your power board, your noise filter board.
Yeah.
So before you start ordering parts, check all these things out, right?
And just know on your inverter checker, for the 3 wires, each wire is labeled UV and W. So you know what you need to connect to for the alligator clamps.
Yeah.
Just to give you a heads up.
Yeah. So that part number again is T as in Tom, 2, W, E as in Edward, A as in Alice, 0988.
And like we said, we'll go more into detail with the ASM, Area Service Manager. Nice.
Yeah, we'll talk about checking inverters more in depth. The next tool we're going to talk about, and I love this tool. I think this is just a great tool to have, the LEV magnet.
Oh, man.
All right. And there are two. There are 2 models that we have right now. And you may have an older model with a different model number that has been discontinued. But there are 2 types of LEV magnets, the PAM type and the CAM type. So the PAM and the CAM. All right, so we have the PAM type, which is our LEV magnet for up to a 3,000 pulse LEV. And that model number is an R61102401. All right, and then the CAM type, CAM, that LEV is magnet is for up to a 480 pulse LEV. So 480 pulse LEVs, some of you may know already that they're usually found in M&P series systems.
Yeah.
Right. You may find some 480 pulse LEVs in the City Multi, so you can use the CAM type for that.
Yeah.
The PAM type for up to 3,000 pulse LEVs, we're going to find those in City Multi VRF. That's
where that comes in play.
Yeah. So again, with the model numbers for the CAM type, the model number is an R61103401. For the PAM type, for the larger LEVs, that model number is of R61102401. All right. So why would I use an LEV magnet?
Well, a lot of cases that For a question we have, what typically fails, right? On an LED,
The magnetic head.
it's
right?
a magnetic cam. It's not the drive shaft, right? If you have something wrong with the drive shaft, that means something's in your system.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the magnetic. So that piece, that mechanism fails. So and when it fails, that LED fails in that position. It could be 41.
And we don't know what position it is, right? We can't see into the valve.
And that's where the biggest difference was. A lot of people go and look at maintenance tool and they say, well, it's showing me 3,000 pulses.
Is it really 300,000 pulses?
Exactly.
Right? The position of an LEV is assumed. There's no way for the LEV to know
it's
that.
a one-way street communication. We, as a system, tell what position that LEV needs to be put in.
Right.
That LEV doesn't give us a feedback signal and say, okay, I'm at 3,000 pulses. It doesn't work that way.
And keep in mind, how do the LEVs recalibrate themselves? Well, basically, whenever you cycle power on a system, it's and you might hear this clicking in the outdoor unit when you cycle power or turn a system on for the first time. You hear that click, 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 click. That's that LEV positioning itself, and you'll see it go 100% open. And then you'll see it go to 100% closed, and then it will sit at its resting position.
Correct.
Right. And depending on what that LEV's job is, it could be just managing refrigerant, or it could actually be metering refrigerant. Right. Yeah. So don't assume that every LEV in our system is always metering refrigerant like an expansion valve. It may just be wide open or closed, depending on the mode because it's managing that refrigerant, trying to close off that line or open that line.
So going back to you, so if an LEV position should be open 100%, but it failed closed, right? So that in that case, that system would create. In that case, it created a restriction in the system. So what we just and say that part to get that mechanism part to replace it takes 2 days. Well, right now we're in heat. We're really hot outside. We're in cooling season. Yeah. So we need to get that customer at least get some cooling for a couple of days. Well, we can use that LEV magnet to open it up, so we can get that customer some cooling for a couple of days, and then tell you to replace the part.
Yeah. So if we're talking about a regular residential unit, we can dial in that superheat, that suction superheat.
Exactly.
Right. Temperature clamp on the suction line, get my pressure, and to calculate superheat, right? We take that pressure and we go to a PT chart, subtract the saturated temperature from the suction line temperature, get your total superheat, suction superheat, and make sure that's between 0 and 5 degrees.
5 degrees, yep.
Right. But you got to be careful, right? We got to be careful that the customer knows that you're doing this to their unit. If hey, it's going to take a week to get this LEV. In this weather, listen, I'm from New England, and I just came down to Georgia here, and it's like, the car just hit 106 degrees before, and it's hot out there. And I'll tell you, you're going to get customers that, what can you do for me to get me running? You got to be really careful because we don't want to flood the compressor. We don't want to damage that compressor, so we have to dial in that superheat until we can get another That's one way of using the LEV magnet. You can also use it just like you said before. What position did the valve fail in? And it gives you an idea of where, what happened, right? What happened to that system? Yeah. Did it fail open and I was flooding, I was bypassing, or did it fail closed and the system was pumping itself down, or whatever havoc it wreaked throughout the system, right? But it's a great service tool for looking at that. Now I'm going to give out a little cheat information here.
Well, before you do, and I get this question: how do you know when the LEV magnet is 100% open, or if it's 100% closed when you're using the magnet? So for those that are listening, so when you turn it wide open, and there's an arrow on the magnet itself, so when you turn it counterclockwise, that's opening. What you'll do is you will turn it, and as you turn it, you'll hear a click sound. That's how that is letting you know that LEV is open up 100%.
Yeah, and you'll feel like a bumping.
No. The bumping is when it's 100% closed.
Get out of here.
Yeah, 100% closed.
I'm learning all kind of stuff here. No, what are you talking about, a click?
So all you hear when you turn it counterclockwise to open it up, you just turn it, click, turn it, click. And that's letting you know that LEV is open 100%. Now, when you turn it to clockwise, right, when you're closing it, and then when you get to 100% close, it feels like you're driving in a car and you feel the speed bumps, you go too far to the right in your lane.
The strips.
Yeah, strips. That's what you feel in your hand, and that's 100% closed.
Okay. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. So I always reference that bumping.
That's how you know when you're closed.
That's the magnet resistance trying to turn that valve.
Yes.
Because that LEV is made up of 11 north poles and 11 south poles built into that LEV body. And the magnet has the same thing. So the magnet will have 11 north poles and 11 south poles inside of the magnet. So when you look in the inner ring of that magnet, it kind of looks rifled.
Rifled, yeah.
Right? And it's the pattern in magnets that attach themselves to the body of that LEV and turn that LEV body either closed or open. So lining up the magnet in the right spot, getting that sweet spot,
kind of usually it's around in the middle.
In the middle, yeah. So if you let the magnet just fall down onto the body, you may not be catching that inner valve mechanism because you're not lining up the magnetic poles correctly. So keep that in mind when you're using the LEV magnet.
Now, Steve, what happens if we don't have an LED magnet?
Yeah, so if you have, it's pretty cool. So if you have an old LEV magnetic head kicking around your van,
or the one that failed,
or the one, well,
you got to check the resistance.
You got to check the resistance. I mean, chances of all the coils failing on an LEV, usually it's one coil shorted or open. Right. But good point. If you have a failed LEV, all you got to do is grab the common wire and any one of the coil wires on that LEV. And if you get yourself a little 9-volt battery pad, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, the little connector.
That little connector that snaps on.
Yeah. And, probably Amazon these days, because I don't even think you can go to Radio Shack anymore. They don't exist. Fry's is gone.
I know.
Right. So it's all these cool stores that used to sell these things by the bag. You may be able to get some on Amazon fairly cheap, and just take one of those and put it across your common and any one of the coil wires, and you put a 9-volt battery on it. If you put that magnetic head onto the body of the LEV, you have to turn it by hand, just like you would the LEV magnet, but you can open and close.
But now in that case, you're only, like Steve mentioned, you're only pulling from one of those the pathways, right?
Yes.
Where like an LEV magnet, you're pulling through all. LEV magnet is much stronger, than this way. But you're in a bind. This is a perfect way. Just note that
Now, don't leave the battery hooked up to the to the LEV because you will smoke the battery. The battery will heat up because you're putting a load on it, and there's no load for it to grab, right?
Just go ahead and get your position, take it off, and then obviously take the battery off the LEV that you created.
Yeah,
or made,
and I've seen some contractors build some pretty cool ones on their own, where they have a little switch on them, and they leave the battery hooked up, and they put it in the box.
Nice.
Yeah, I've seen some pretty cool stuff. But again, the LEV magnet's nice and small and compact. It's the way to go.
It is.
So I think we pretty much covered the LEV magnet.
Yeah, we did. Just note there's two types. The CAM type and the PAM type. The C CAM, that's for up to 480 pulses, and then the PAM up to 3,000 pulses.
Yep. So again, one more time for the model number of the CAM type. This is the 480 pulse, smaller residential unit type. The model number is a R611-03401. And then the PAM type for up to 3,000 pulse LEVs, mostly found on city multi-equipment. That's going to be our R611-02401. That brings us to maintenance tool.
Yeah.
So let's talk about maintenance tool. First of all, maintenance tool is software, free software available on mylinkdrive.com. Click on the software tab. You'll find maintenance tool software. We're up to version
5.5.
5.5.
Oh,
yeah.
5.50.
Yeah. So when I started here, I think we were at like version 5.29.
Oh,
and it's evolved quite a bit.
They made the best update on 5.50.
Really?
The best update, hands down, that I've seen so far. You give me a signal here. So.
Is it formulas, building the
No,
formulas?
no. It's, well, so you know how a maintenance tool, we can check out getting error codes? You
Yeah,
can look at what
yeah.
the fault codes are, right? Well, you before, you can only do that on the main screen. So now if you're under the monitoring, so say you're monitoring the data.
I hate coming out of the whole monitoring
you can
to
stay
go
in the
back.
monitoring, and up on top, it looks like a bag of nickels. This is, I'm going to give a shout out to Gary Ozer. He's the one who pointed this out to me. And you click that, and that goes into the screen where to select to get your errors.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yes.
That's huge.
That's on the
step,
new update,
yeah.
just for those who are listening, if you don't know that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So the same software works for multiple maintenance tools. Now we're gonna talk about different maintenance tools. And let's talk about the most common one. Let's talk about the maintenance tool converter for Smart Multi and City Multi. All right, so that's going to be a small red box, right, with a rubber cover on it.
Bright red.
Yeah, bright red cover on it. It's like a rubber cover. I actually seen some blue ones kicking around. I don't know who got those. Yeah.
I've not seen those. Okay.
I don't know if maybe there was the prototypes or something but someone had some blue rubber covers on theirs. But it's the latest model is the PAC-US-CMS-MN-1. So that's our latest model. There's also a legacy model that is still available on my link drive. I don't know if we're still selling it, but it's still on.
It's still there. Yeah.
Still on my link drive.
Yeah.
And tell you the truth, that tool, if you have one kicking around, it's a gray metal box, a little heavier and bigger.
Still
Don't
works.
throw that aside because it still shows you just as much information as the new one.
The only thing is, just be aware if you have Windows 11, it does not pick up Windows 11.
Oh,
yeah, that's the only downfall.
Good to know. Okay, and the new maintenance tool also has an SD card where the old legacy,
which is nice,
did not.
You can just plug it in, leave it there, and come back, which is kind of good.
Yeah, and if a big enough SD card, you could leave that on there for a long time.
You can,
right, recording. But set of alligator clips on one end for your MNet. You would connect that anywhere there's MNet, M1, M2, right? And then we have that in the outdoor unit on TB3, TB7. We have the indoor unit, right? TB5.
Yeah.
We have the branch controllers, TB2, but it's all MNet.
ME controller.
ME controller. So if it's pouring rain outside, if it's snowing outside and nasty weather, I can go into the building, hook up maintenance tool anywhere I can find MNet, right? And that works, again, it works on the Smart Multi unit and the City Multi unit. If you're hooked up to a Smart Multi unit, you're going to see so much data displayed on the screen. You'll get a lot of targets, subcooling, superheat, your voltage, right? LEV positions.
It's great for startup. Especially with the branch box multi-head system. Yeah. You can kind of see what the temperatures are for each room, and you can send a command just on indoor head number 1, send a cooling call, and see if that particular head is decreasing in in temperature. You know that head is connected to the right port.
Yeah. We could do an address search of all the addresses connected to that system. And then when we go to our monitor screen to look at our values, pressures, temperatures, voltages, amperage, it just goes on and on. It's just too much to name in one episode. But when you connect that and you go to your monitor screen, it automatically starts recording.
Yes.
So it's going to record in minutes, right? Every 60 seconds, it'll take a snapshot. And we use those recordings to maybe take that data back, send it to someone to look and help you figure out what's wrong with the system. Send it to us for your extended warranty. Right, we ask for a 1-hour runtime on extended warranty, but that's our maintenance tool. Again, for City Multi and Smart Multi, that's our PAC, PAC-US-CMS-MN-1, and our legacy model is our CMS-MNG-E. That's the old gray metal box.
And one additional thing you need with that, it does not come with it, is printer cable.
Oh, good point. Yeah. So that's a USB, I believe 2.0 to USB Basically a printer
It's a
cable.
printer.
I'm not an IT guy, so I'm going to say
I'm
it
not
wrong
either.
there.
That's why I say printer
But
cable.
it's a printer cable, and you can order one fairly cheap off of Amazon.
And if you guys need some experience with this, attend our essential course, either a 3-day city multi course. We do hands on with the maintenance tool, and then our advanced M&P class does some hands on with the maintenance tool as well.
Yep. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a tip, because the alligator clips that they come with could be a pain in the butt sometimes. Trying
Always.
to get them on to put them on to a large screw. Like some of our terminal blocks have pretty large screws on them, and the alligator clips can pop off.
That's your smart multi. When you're hooked to do a smart multi, that is as a larger screw.
Yeah,
they can do that.
And
on R2 system, you can just you can land that on it's called tab 1 and tab 2.
Tab 1 and tab 2, right above TB3. You'll see 2 spade connectors sticking out. That's a great place to put the alligator clips.
Yeah.
What I like to do, and what someone showed me years ago, is they buy the little magnetic jumpers.
Oh yeah.
So you get the little neodymium magnetic jumpers that you would use to jump out a rooftop unit or whatever. Cut the jumper in half and solder and heat shrink those in place of the alligator clips. And I've even seen them where they left the alligator clips and they also put the magnetic jumpers on. They have the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Right. So the magnetic jumpers, now you can just magnetically attach those leads to the terminal block, and you're not fighting when they keep popping off on you or whatever.
Please be very careful, because again, they are magnetic, especially on a smart multi, because what terminal block is right next to M1, M2 is B1 and B2 for high voltage.
Yeah,
so just
good point.
Be aware of that.
Yeah. So if you connect that to S1 or S2 or L1 or L2, you're not going to have a maintenance tool anymore.
No, you will
probably just a puff of smoke at that point. Yeah. And I've seen it happen firsthand. Brand new maintenance tool out of the box.
I remember
attached to L1 and L2, and game over. It was done. As quick as it started, it was over.
Okay, so what about our M series and P series product?
So M and P series, I always say like a couple of years ago. It's actually been maybe 4 or 5 years since this was released. We have a maintenance tool kit for M and P series A control style outdoor units. We do not use the MNet converter model numbers that I gave you before. It does not use the MNet converter boxes. We're using a serial cable kit. So the serial cable kit is model M21. That's Mary 21 Edward Charlie 0397. So M21 EC 0397. And that's going to give you, that's the whole kit. That's going to give you a serial cable with USB on one end and a Molex plug on the other.
Yep.
And then you're going to get, is it 5? I believe it's 5 connectors. And each connector has a little tag on it, a little plastic tag. It tells you what unit it's compatible with. But always go to your maintenance tool installation guide to make sure you have the right connector. Don't try jamming a connector into an outdoor unit and forcing it in. Make sure you have the right connector. But basically, there's a P plug.
That's the easiest one, honestly, because P fits all P series.
Yeah, easy to remember. A P plug, an A plug, a C plug, a B plug,
and an AD plug.
And an AD plug.
Yeah. Right?
So a lot of plugs to choose from. But what I found is the P plug fits all our P series, just like you said. Yeah. Our C plug is going to be for our multi-zone ported units. And then either the B plug or the AD plug. Again, consult your maintenance tool manual on my link drive and all the instructions for those connectors and what connector number they plug into in the outdoor board. Can't stress this enough, guys. Make sure you shut power off before you connect your M&P maintenance tool to an outdoor board. I've seen it firsthand in class. I had a DSG come in and he was using his maintenance tool for M&P for the first time and blew the whole board on the unit. And
lesson learned. I guarantee you won't be doing that again.
Right. It just takes that one time that you don't land that plug correctly and short something out and causes a chain reaction. It's just bad. So shut your power off, connect the maintenance tool, and once you turn the power on, actually you with the M&P maintenance tool, it'll give you instructions.
It'll tell you, okay, it's time to turn on power.
Yes.
Yeah.
So maintenance tool software will tell you to turn on power, and you'll have selections on the main screen of the maintenance tool software, whether you're using an MNet converter for Smart Multi and City Multi, or you're using the serial cable kit for M&P. You have to make sure you select those.
Yeah.
Installing the software for M&P, again, it's the same software, but you're going to have to add additional software to make that work. Yeah. And I think it's
FT Prog.
FT Prog, yeah. So you can find that online. Again, consult your manual and the instructions for installing that software. I can't tell you how many times contractors come up to me and say, hey, I installed maintenance tool. I can't get M&P maintenance tool to work. Did you put in the FT Prog software?
And it is in the manual, what to download.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's in there.
And if you guys want to get hands-on with the cellular cable kit, attend our advanced M&P class.
Yeah,
we do
yeah, definitely. And one last thing I just want to point out with the M&P maintenance tool kit, can we see pressures?
No, we cannot.
You can't see pressures, right? Because we don't have pressure transducers in M&P.
Transducers, nope.
But we get a lot of great information, like
we get temperatures.
Yeah, we get temperatures. You get all the temperatures of the outdoor unit, some indoor unit temperatures as well. If you're hooked up to a ported unit, you see all of the ports. They're all separated, so you can see each port and the indoor unit's connected to it. You get the frequency of the unit in there, some amperage sometimes, and it just depends on the model that you're connected to. You're not going to get pressure, so I'll just tell you ahead of time before you get disappointed. Why am I not seeing high and low pressure? Well, do our M&P units have high and low pressure transducers in them? No, just the Smart Multi.
Just Smart Multi.
But at that point, we're using the MNet converter on that as well. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. So I think that about does it. And again, the model for that kit is an M21EC0397. That's Mary 21 Edward Charlie 0397 for that part. And I think that just
wraps it
about
up.
does it. Yeah. So again, check out mylinkdrive.com for more information on these tools. And some of these tools, like I said, are not on my link drive. But ask your local distributor to give them the part number. They can order it for you, get you a price on it. And also, if you want to get your hands on some of these tools and use them in class, come to one of our M&P classes. Come to our advanced M&P class where we get into advanced M&P maintenance tool on M&P. We get you guys on those units and actually show you what it looks like.
Yeah,
and
we go over the Smart Multi, the P Series, and M Series units.
Yeah, yeah. So how to sign up for training, go to MitsubishiComfort.com, click on For Professionals, go to our training tab, and you'll open up a calendar of all the training events that you need, and find a location near you. Right, we have 10 training centers across the country, and you should be able to find something that's close to your area. And definitely attend training.
Nice.
So I'm not going back for soup tonight at that restaurant. That's not going to happen again.
Where are we going to dinner?
Oh, yeah. So we had a couple episodes back. We talked about birria tacos.
Oh.
So I was going to see if you wanted to
100%
go try some of those birria type. I was doing some research last night. I was like, man, there's a lot of Mexican restaurants here in our area in Georgia. And I found 2 restaurants that have it on the menu. Question is, will it be good? Will it be as good as some of the birria that I've
what are they
had?
using for meat, like brisket or?
That's the thing. So some birria tacos, they use just regular pot roast.
Oh, okay.
Some birria tacos, they use brisket, and some they use short rib. Now, my favorite is short rib.
I don't think I had one with short rib.
Oh, dude. And they give you that little cup of au jus.
Give me a straw in that.
No. Paul had some last night, and he's in Orlando right now. He went to a Mexican restaurant nearby that I sent him to.
Oh, is that the one that you just...
I think it's called Agave Azul, but I'm not 100% sure. But I sent him there, and I said, you got to get the birria, and he texted me right away. He says, oh, my God, these tacos are amazing. He told me today he just took a bunch of the rice and just dumped it into the consomme and just hit the right. That's the best way to do it, right? True Portuguese fashion. But anyway, we'll see you guys on the next one.
See you guys.